Some people will hurt you, look you dead in the eye, and feel nothing. No hesitation, no apology, not even a flicker of guilt crossing their face. You keep waiting for the "I'm sorry." You replay the moment over and over, looking for some crack in their armor, anything that shows they know what they did. There isn't one, and the sooner you accept that, the sooner you stop waiting for something that was never coming in the first place. Honestly, this isn't some rare personality type. You've met them already. The co-worker who takes credit for your work, then denies it to your face. The partner who somehow turns the argument around until you're the one apologizing. The family member who has never, not once, said, "I was wrong." We like to believe guilt is universal. That deep down, everyone has some kind of moral alarm that goes off the moment they hurt someone. Turns out, that alarm doesn't ring the same way for everyone. Some people have built their entire way of dealing with the world around never letting it ring at all. And to really understand that, we don't need a psychology textbook. We need to go back a few centuries to a man who wrote, without any shame, an actual manual on how to get what you want without ever having to answer for it. So what does that manual actually look like in real life? His name was Niccolò Machiavelli. Back in the 16th century, he wrote The Prince, basically a guidebook for rulers on how to hold on to power. Not through honesty, through control. I quote, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see, but few can feel." End quote. Let's be clear, this isn't advice to live by. This is a warning label. What Machiavelli figured out is something most of us don't want to admit. For a certain kind of person, looking sorry works just as well as being sorry. If you seem loyal, nobody bothers checking whether you actually are. Research on human behavior backs this up in an uncomfortable way. Robert Hare, a forensic psychologist at the University of British Columbia, developed what's known as the Hare Psychopathy Checklist to study patterns of missing empathy and guilt. His findings suggest that around 1% of the general population consistently shows this pattern, not hiding guilt, but never generating it in the first place. Watch them closely enough, and the pattern shows up every time. Confront them, and they don't sit with it, they flip it. Suddenly the conversation isn't about what they did anymore. It's about how you're reacting to it. You're too sensitive. You're making a big deal out of nothing. That's not an accident. That's a strategy, even if they've never once called it that in their own head. Now picture someone completely different. Not a prince chasing power, but a slave, chasing something much quieter, peace of mind. His name was Epictetus. He was born into slavery in the Roman Empire. According to some accounts, his master once twisted his leg for no reason at all, just to see if he'd break. Epictetus is said to have calmly told him, "You're going to break my leg." And when it did break, he simply added, "Didn't I tell you?" No anger, no breakdown. He wasn't pretending the injustice didn't exist. He'd just learned, the hard way, something most of us take a lifetime to figure out. Other people's actions were never his to control. Only his own response was, I quote, "Men are disturbed not by the things which happen, but by the opinions about the things." End quote. He didn't sit around waiting for his master to grow a conscience. He didn't build his peace around an apology that was never going to come. He built it somewhere his master could never touch, inside his own mind. And that's really the split between these two men. Machiavelli spent his life studying how to control other people. Epictetus spent his figuring out how to stop needing to. Epictetus left behind one idea that changes how you look at every person who's ever refused to say sorry to you. He called it the dichotomy of control. Some things are up to us, our judgments, our choices, how we respond. And some things simply aren't. Other people's actions, their character, whether they'll ever feel bad about what they did to you. Waiting around for someone's guilt is waiting for something that was never on your side of the fence to begin with. This lines up with something psychologists studying closure have found as well. Research published through The Conversation notes that closure isn't a prerequisite for healing. It's just one of many possible paths. You don't need someone else's permission or their apology to begin recovering. In many cases, the people who move on fastest are the ones who stop waiting for a resolution that was never going to come from the other person. That doesn't mean what happened to you didn't matter. It means your peace was never actually supposed to depend on their conscience showing up. Think about the co-worker who denies everything, the partner who rewrites the whole story, the parent who's never once said the words you needed to hear. Whether they're capable of guilt or not, that's entirely on their side. Your healing was never supposed to wait at that border. You see this everywhere once you start looking. The friend who ghosts you, then acts like nothing happened 3 weeks later. The manager who takes credit for your work and calls it leadership. The family group chat where someone's mistakes just quietly disappear. Notice something here. The people least likely to ever apologize are usually the ones best at making you feel like you're the one who owes an apology. You're not wrong for noticing this. You're not wrong for wanting some kind of accountability. The only real danger is making your own peace conditional on getting it. So how do you actually stop doing that? First, stop rehearsing that conversation in your head where they finally get it. In most cases, that conversation doesn't exist. Not because you're not explaining it well enough. Understanding was never really the problem. Second, separate what happened from the story around it. What happened is just a fact. Whether they ever own up to it is a completely different question, one you don't control, and honestly, one your peace doesn't need answered. Third, take all that energy you were spending hoping they'd feel guilty and put it into your own boundaries instead. A boundary doesn't need their permission, it only needs your decision. By and large, the people who never apologize aren't worried about getting caught. They're just waiting to see if you'll keep asking. To be clear, this isn't about beating them at their own game. It's not about turning cold or learning to manipulate the way they do. It's about refusing to let someone else's lack of conscience decide whether you get to feel okay. And not everyone who skips an apology is secretly manipulative. A lot of the time, people are just avoidant, scared, or genuinely oblivious. This isn't about becoming suspicious of everyone around you. It's about where you're placing your peace. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that the best revenge is refusing to become like the person who wronged you. Maybe that's the answer here too. You don't need to make someone feel guilty for what they did. You just need to build a mind steady enough that their silence stops having any power over it. So, what would actually change in your life if you stopped waiting for an apology that was never coming? Thank you for watching.